No matter how iconic Hugh Jackman's portrayal of Wolverine in the X-Men franchise was, it's probably time for a new guy to step in his shoes. And yes, it'll be hard, but sooner or later that time has to come. That is, if Hugh has yet to decide for his return to the role, despite all the talk of him ready to move on from the character. After all, there is one thing that might make him reconsider his decision. A rematch of his duel against Deadpool can be made a possibility in the near future.
Wait, is that you? Stryker finally figured out how to shut you up.
There has been a lot of talk about Wolverine over the last couple of months, particularly after Patrick Stewart's Professor X appeared in the Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness trailer, officially becoming the first of the X-Men to make an appearance in an MCU project. His debut also begged the question, which other X-Men we might see in the movie, and seeing how the multiverse is blown wide open, the possibilities are endless, especially now that Disney bought the rights of the X-Men from 20th Century Fox.
The whole world's gonna hell, you just gonna sit there? Let's go.
There are numerous speculations as to whether which are going to be the character that we might see from the X-Men movies, with one character topping the charts, and that is Wolverine. And when we talk about Wolverine as a character, there's only one person that comes to mind, Hugh Jackman, who has done such a great job with the character that he simply became synonymous with him. There are no two ways about it. The MCU will have to do a reboot of the X-Men. There's no clear connection that they can make regarding one of the most famous families in the entire Marvel Universe. And on that note, despite all the things that Hugh Jackman said about the character's future, the MCU will probably have to recast the role of Wolverine. Yes, we know it's a huge risk, but it's one that Marvel Studios will have to do at some point. Hugh cannot play Wolverine for an eternity, right?
Become the animal.
Let's do this.
The main reason for this could be described along the lines of Logan giving a perfect ending to Hugh's version of the character, a character he played for over 17 years now, making his run one of the longest and most iconic comic book character portrayals, with the one closest to him right now being Robert Downey's Tony Stark.
Wake up, Daddy's home.
Welcome home, son.
Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Disney and Fox's deal about the rights of the X-Men was probably one of the biggest ones in the movie industry in the last couple of years, which effectively put everything in motion, even the plan to relaunch the mutants in the MCU. As the last movie in which we saw Hugh's Logan, we have to touch upon his time throughout the Logan movie. Directed by James Mangold and released in 2017, the movie functioned not only as a closing one for Jackman's portrayal of the character, but for Patrick Stewart's original Professor X.
The history I know is a little different. Welcome back.
The movie presented itself as an emotional send-off, with Wolverine dying to save his daughter, X-23.
This is what it feels like.
However, despite the Oscar-worthy Logan being a satisfying conclusion to Wolverine's story, the aftermath of Disney's acquisition of X-Men's rights back to Marvel Studios brought up the calls for the actor to play the role again, now as part of the MCU. And while he was adamant about moving on from the character, new waves of rumors have spread after his new social media posts. The first thing that Jackman started to talk about was the fact of just how excited he is to learn who will the new Wolverine be, who will be the actor to portray the role of his iconic role, and even a few years later, when he was asked once again, he still sounded content with his decision to move on from his breakthrough role. That being said, he also said that if there's a chance of him appearing in an X-Men cameo or two, he would consider continuing playing the role, with him explaining the whole thing intriguing for him, mostly because of the idea of seeing Wolverine interact with all the characters that the character has had contact with within the Marvel comics so far, this time in the live action. And this is not the best part, as he once again teased us with a story on his Instagram account that showed a picture of Boss Logic's art of Wolverine's claws, followed by a picture of him with Kevin Feige, kickstarting a swirl of rumors about his Marvel return. Now, this might be just a coincidence, however, we think it's more than that, with this sudden move from Hugh at least marking his return for the role as a different version of the Wolverine character, one that would only appear as a cameo, one that would fill in the gap in the X-Men's introduction to the MCU, and then, on a later note, a different actor being assigned to the Wolverine role, a mutant from the timeline we've been used to by now. Outside of this, there's nothing else concrete about Hugh and Wolverine, and if the two will continue being connected in further iterations of the character within the MCU. That being said, So far, we've witnessed the return of some characters to the MCU, including the likes of J. Jonah Jameson's J.K. Simmons, as well as the different versions of Spider-Man from the side of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield.
Right, 100. Miss Brandt, give this man his money and throw in a bar of soap.
Something Marvel likes to do, or it seems like it, thus we might never know what will happen next with the character moving forward, especially now that there might be several versions of Wolverine coming to the big screen and not just one, with the multiverse playing a huge role in the events to come. Built around the idea to be a one last time for Jackman in the role, we think that it should remain as it is. The movie worked wonders for the two characters that have been given the send-off, with the viewers accepting that it really is the end for the Wolverine character, portrayed by Hugh Jackman of course. As we said before, there's no doubt that replacing Hugh would be one of the hardest things to do right now for a particular role of a character, but Marvel has faced a lot of challenges so far, and if there's something that can do it, it's Marvel. With that in mind, recasting Jackman could have an advantage in that it can help MCU's X-Men feel distinct from Fox's. Whatever the case may be, we think Marvel should wait to introduce Wolverine. They've already done that with the X-Men as a whole, which allowed for a much greater distance from Jackman's version, a time period that will help the fans as well, as it will give them time to be ready of seeing a recast version of the character that can take things in a whole new direction for the MCU's character. Putting aside the question of who will play the MCU's version of Wolverine in the near future, the most reasonable project in which Wolverine might make his debut in the MCU could be in the upcoming Deadpool 3 movie, which has already been confirmed to be part of the MCU. In honor of the staged internet feud between Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds, we can safely say that they have natural chemistry, with the two already setting up some Wolverine jokes along the way, which is yet another indication that Marvel Studios might be up to something. This is just a wild guess, however, you should not take it for granted.
Let the dogs out. Woo! 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 Let them out. No one knows. No one ever solved that mystery.
Right now, the fate of Deadpool 3 is uncertain, both because the second movie was not part of the wider MCU, and ironically because the third movie will actually take place in the MCU, and whatever it comes of it, we think we'll be saying for everyone that we would love us some Deadpool vs. Wolverine repeat of their duel in X-Men Origins, a perfect way to set up the character, with the two successfully set up for success in the future of the MCU. On a related note, we wanted to know, tell us down in the comments below what are your thoughts on the character, where do you see him fit in the MCU, where would you like to see his debut happen, and whether or not Marvel decides to recast the role of Wolverine outside of Hugh Jackman. Who would you say is the best option for the character's run now as part of the MCU? And also don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon if you'd like to see more amazing videos such as this one in the future. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.